Apologize to my son right now, or we're getting a divorce, Erin said. We were standing in our kitchen, the light over the sink buzzing like a trapped insect. Tyler leaned on the counter with his arms folded, chin tipped up, already wearing that little grin that said he'd won before the first punch was thrown. I'd been fixing the cabinet hinge he'd ripped clean out the night before, ripped it out because he'd slammed the door so hard the whole frame shuddered. When I told him to stop treating the house like a hotel room he could trash, he'd laughed in my face. Then he'd called me temporary, like I was a rental car. Erin hadn't even looked at the hinge in my hand. She looked at his grin and saw something precious. Say it, she said. Say you're sorry. Right now. I could feel my heart trying to climb out of my throat. Not anger, something colder. The moment you realize the ground you've been standing on is actually thin ice. I set the screwdriver down on the counter, gentle as if it might explode. Okay, I said. Her eyebrows lifted. For a second, she didn't know what to do with my calm. Then she smirked, the way you smirk when you think the other person finally broke. Good, she said. So do it. But I didn't. I stood up. I looked her straight in the eyes. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't point. I didn't give Tyler the satisfaction of a single extra glance. Then I walked away. Behind me, Erin let out a short laugh like she'd just watched a magic trick. Tyler's grin widened, and I heard him whisper something. Probably the kind of thing he only said when he knew his mother would defend him no matter what. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I went into our bedroom and shut the door. The click of the latch sounded like a decision. In the quiet, I stared at the closet where half my shirt still hung beside Erin's dresses, like we were still the kind of couple who shared air. I took out my phone, opened my notes, and typed 2 words, 3 days. I didn't know yet exactly what I would do in 3 days. I just knew I wouldn't be standing on their ice anymore. If you've never been pushed past the point where you stop arguing and start planning, you might think revenge begins with shouting. It doesn't. It begins with paperwork. At 6 the next morning, I was parked outside a strip mall law office with a flickering attorney sign. The lot was empty except for my truck and a dented Corolla with a kid seat in the back. Inside, the air smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. A woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a calm voice introduced herself as Ms. Hart. She didn't smile like she was selling something. She listened like she'd heard 1,000 people tell her, in 1,000 different ways, that their life had just snapped. What do you want? She asked. I almost laughed. It was such a clean question. I want to leave, I said. And I want to keep it clean. No lies, no drama, no getting baited into something that ruins me. Ms. Hart nodded, already writing. Do you have a prenup? No. Children together? No. Tyler is her son. He's 19. Any violence? I pictured Tyler's shoulders, the way he squared up when he thought he could win. I pictured Erin's smirk, the weapon she used instead of a blade. Not yet, I said, but it's heading that way. Then you document, she said. You separate finances. You secure your property. You don't provoke. And you do not, she looked right at me, do anything that makes you look like the aggressor. I won't, I said. She slid a yellow legal pad toward me. Start with a list, accounts, assets, debts, who owns what, what's in whose name. I filled that page like I'd been waiting my whole life to. The house, my name. The truck, my name. Erin's SUV, my name. Because I'd co-signed when her credit was recovering. Her word. The remodeling business, my name, my license, my insurance, my hands. Our joint checking account, both names. 3 credit cards, 2 mine, 1 joint. Ms. Hart tapped the pen on the line where I wrote, house. You live there? Yeah. Was it owned before marriage? It was my dad's. He passed. I inherited it, fixed it up. Erin moved in after. Then it's likely separate property, she said. But we don't assume. We prove. Do you have documentation? Everything, I said. She gave me a look, part caution, part approval. Good. Now here's what you do today. When I left her office, my hands weren't shaking anymore. My life was still on fire, but now I had a map. At the bank, I opened a new account in my name only and moved my paycheck deposits over. I didn't drain the joint account. That's how you end up looking like the villain in front of a judge. I moved exactly my half, down to the dollar. I left the rest. I printed the receipt and slid it into a folder. Then I went to the credit union and froze the joint card. The teller, a young guy with a neat beard, asked, "Everything okay?" I almost said yes out of habit. Instead, I said, "I'm trying to keep it that way." He nodded like he understood more than he was allowed to. Next stop was my office. Really just a converted garage behind the house, stacked with invoices and tools. I pulled every file that mattered: contracts, insurance, the deed, the certificate, the appraisal from when I refinanced to pay off, Erin's medical bills. 2 years ago, bills she swore. She'd pay me back for when she got her big raise. I found the folder labeled Tyler because I'm the kind of idiot who still keeps school paperwork for a kid who hates him. Inside were notices from the community college about unpaid tuition and a letter about a parking violation that had turned into a warrant because Tyler ignored it long enough. A warrant. Small, but real. My stomach tightened. I didn't want to ruin a 19-year-old's life, but I also didn't want a 19-year-old ruining mine. I scanned everything to a secure drive and set it inside my work bag. That evening, Erin came home smiling like a queen returning from court. Tyler followed, earbuds in, not even bothering to pretend I existed. Erin leaned in the doorway of the kitchen and crossed her arms. "Feeling better?" she asked. I wiped my hands on a rag. "Fine." She looked disappointed, like she'd been hoping for a fight. "Good. Then you can apologize tomorrow. You had time to think." "Okay," I said again. She grinned, and I watched her smirk deepen as she misread me all over again. People think recording someone makes you sneaky. Maybe it does. But I wasn't doing it because I wanted a gotcha moment. I was doing it because Tyler had already started rewriting history right in front of my face. The next morning, I set my phone on the shelf in the garage, camera facing out, and called Tyler in. "Hey," I said. He paused like he was doing me a favor by hearing my voice. "What?" "I need the spare key to the truck back," I said. "I'm not comfortable with you driving it." His eyes narrowed. "I didn't drive it." I swallowed. "The mileage says different." Erin's voice floated from the doorway behind him. "Daniel, don't start." I kept my voice even. "I'm not starting. I'm ending something. Give me the key." Tyler stepped closer. Too close, that teenage cocky swagger in a grown body. "Make me," he said. Erin didn't tell him to back up. She didn't tell him to stop. She just watched me with that same smirk, like she wanted to see what I'd do with the pressure. I held my hands up, palms open. "I'm not doing this." Tyler laughed, sharp. "Yeah, because you're scared." Maybe I was. Not of him, of what he could make me look like if I reacted. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small plastic key tag. "I had a copy made. You can keep the spare. I'm changing the locks." "On your precious truck?" Tyler said, mocking. He turned to Erin. "Hear that? He thinks he owns everything." Erin's smile slipped for a split second, then returned. "Daniel, you don't need to be dramatic." I looked at her. "You gave me an ultimatum. You don't get to call me dramatic for responding." Her eyes went cold. "Apologize," she said. "Or pack." I nodded. "Okay." And I walked out. Behind me, Tyler said something, low. Erin chuckled. In the garage, my phone caught it all. On the second day, I paid a locksmith cash and had him rekey the house, every exterior lock, plus the reinforced lock on my office door. He didn't ask questions. In my line of work, I've learned people who fix locks see the dark side of love a lot. I boxed Erin's things with my sister on FaceTime so there'd be a witness. Clothes, makeup, photos. The little souvenirs she insisted were ours, even the ones from trips I hadn't been on because I was working. Tyler's stuff was harder, not because I cared more, but because he had a way of leaving sharp things everywhere. Broken glass, half-open pocket knives, the kind of mess that felt like a dare. I didn't throw anything away. I didn't damage anything. I labeled boxes with a black marker. Erin, bedroom. Tyler, bathroom. Tyler, closet. I took pictures of every box and the condition of every room. Ms. Hart had told me to treat it like a crime scene. Not because I was accusing anyone of a crime, because people do dumb things when they feel cornered, and then they pretend the dumb thing was done to them. On day 3, I went to the courthouse and filed for divorce. The clerk stamped the papers like she was stamping a grocery coupon. "You'll need to have her served," she said. "I know," I said. On the way out, I called a process server Ms. Hart recommended. His name was Lionel. Big guy, soft voice, like he delivered papers the same way a nurse delivers bad news. "I can do it today," he said. "Not today," I replied. "In 3 days." He paused. "Okay." Everyone kept saying that word like it was harmless. They didn't know it was my trigger. 3 days after Erin's ultimatum, my phone buzzed at 6:11 p.m. A text from Erin. "We need to talk. Open the door." I was sitting at the kitchen table, the same place she'd tried to corner me, a mug of coffee gone cold beside my folder of receipts and stamped papers. I didn't answer. The first knock came 10 seconds later. Hard. Tyler's style. "Daniel!" Erin shouted through the door. "Stop being childish!" I breathed in, breathed out. Then I stood and walked to the door like I was walking to a job site. I opened it a crack with the chain on. Erin and Tyler stood on the porch. Erin's hair was done, makeup perfect, like she'd dressed for a meeting where she planned to win. Tyler wore a hoodie and that same grin. "Finally," Erin said. "Are you ready to apologize?" I looked at her, then at him. "Okay," I said. Erin's smile spread like a stain. "Good, because if you—" I cut her off. "Okay means I heard you, not that I'm doing it." Tyler's grin faltered. Erin's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I reached behind the door and lifted a clear plastic sleeve. Inside were copies of the divorce filing, the inventory photos, and a simple letter from Ms. Hart. "Your things are boxed," I said. "You can pick them up with a police escort tomorrow between 10 and noon." Erin's face went tight. "You can't lock me out." "I can," I said. "The house is mine. My name, my inheritance, my repairs. You moved in. You didn't buy in." She stared at the papers like they were a magic trick she didn't understand. Tyler leaned forward, voice sharp. "This is illegal." "It's not," I said. "And if you want to argue about it, you can do it through my attorney." Erin took a step closer to the chain, eyes flashing. "You're doing this because of a stupid argument?" "This isn't about the hinge," I said quietly. "It's about the smirk." Her mouth opened, then shut. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Tyler recovered fast. He slammed his palm against the door, making the chain snap tight. "Let me in," he said. "My stuff is inside." "Not tonight," I said. He leaned in, eyes hot. "You're scared of me?" I looked at him. "No, I'm scared of what you'd make me become." Erin's voice rose. "Daniel, don't you dare—" I closed the door. The chain clinked. The lock clicked. On the other side, Tyler kicked the door once, hard enough to rattle the frame. Then he yelled something that made Erin hiss his name like a warning. In the quiet, I heard my phone buzz again. A message from Lionel, the process server. "Ready when you are." I typed back one word. Now. Lionel met Erin in the driveway as she and Tyler were getting into her SUV. I watched from the window, my hands steady on the sill. He approached like a man delivering a pizza, not a bomb. Erin tried to wave him off. Tyler got out of the car, puffing up, saying something I couldn't hear. Lionel kept his calm. Then he held out the envelope. Erin snatched it like it burned. She tore it open. Her eyes moved fast, reading, then getting stuck on one line that turned her face pale. She looked up, straight at my window. Even through the glass, I saw the moment she realized this wasn't a bluff. This wasn't me sulking. This was me acting. Tyler said something, and Erin rounded on him, sharp, like she was suddenly remembering he was the reason she was standing in this driveway at all. They drove off. I didn't cheer. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty in a new way, like a room that's been stripped to studs. That night, my phone rang. Erin's name lit up the screen. I let it go to voicemail. The message came in a minute later. "You think you can do this to me?" Erin's voice said, tight. "You think you can throw us out like garbage? You're going to regret it, Daniel. Tyler is heartbroken, and I swear if you don't fix this, I will make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are." I saved the voicemail, sent it to Ms. Hart. Then I went to bed in a house that finally felt like mine. By the next morning, Erin's version of me had already started spreading. I knew because my phone lit up with texts from people who never texted me. My foreman, Pete. "Everything okay at home?" My Aunt Sheila. "Call me." A buddy from the hardware store. "Heard something weird. You good?" Erin worked in HR at a mid-size medical office. She was good at words, good at framing, good at turning a smirk into a story where she was the injured one and I was the problem. Tyler was good at the same thing, except he used volume instead of polish. Ms. Hart called me at 9. "She's going to push for a protective order," she said. "Standard move when someone wants leverage." "I haven't touched her," I said. "I know," she replied. "That's why we prepared." We walked through it step by step. She told me what to expect. She told me what not to do. No responding to provocation. No showing up where Erin might be. No trying to explain myself to mutual friends in long messages. "Truth doesn't travel as fast as drama," Ms. Hart said, "but evidence lasts longer." Evidence. I sat in my office and watched the garage video again. Tyler stepping close. Erin watching. Erin issuing the ultimatum. The laughter. The smirk. I clipped the relevant parts into short files and stored them with timestamps. Then I did something I hadn't planned on doing. I called Tyler's biological father. His name was Grant. I hadn't spoken to him in years because Erin made sure I didn't. She said Grant was toxic. She said he was controlling. She said he had anger issues. Funny how those words always landed on the men she didn't control. Grant answered on the second ring. "Yeah?" "It's Daniel," I said. A pause. "Erin's husband?" "Still technically," I said. Another pause, longer. "What's going on?" I told him the short version. The ultimatum, the lockout, the divorce. Grant exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for a decade. "She finally turned on you," he said. I swallowed. "I'm not calling to bond." "I know," he said. "You're calling because Tyler is a problem." "I'm calling because I'm trying to keep this clean," I replied. "If Tyler starts something, I need someone else in the room who isn't Erin." Grant laughed once, humorless. "Good luck with that. Erin doesn't do rooms, she does stages." "Will you talk to him?" I asked. There was a beat, then Grant said, "Send me whatever you've got." I didn't hesitate. 2 days later, Erin asked for a meeting, not through me, through Ms. Hart. She wanted to work things out. She wanted to talk like adults. She wanted closure. All the soft words people use right before they take a swing. Ms. Hart arranged it at her office, in a conference room with a glass wall and a clock that ticked too loud. Erin arrived in a blazer like she was heading to court. Tyler was with her, jaw clenched, eyes darting around the room like he was looking for angles. I came in with a folder, a pen, and my hands where everyone could see them. Erin smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Daniel," she said, like my name was a piece of lint she was about to flick away. "Erin," I replied. Tyler didn't speak. He just stared. Ms. Hart sat at the head of the table, calm as stone. "We're here to discuss temporary arrangements," she said. "Property exchange, access to vehicles, and communication boundaries." Erin sighed, dramatic. "This is ridiculous. We're a family." I watched her say it while Tyler's leg bounced under the table like a machine that couldn't power down. "We were," I said. Erin's eyes narrowed. "So you admit it. You're leaving because of Tyler." "I'm leaving because you made it a contest," I said. "And you picked your side." She leaned forward. "I picked my child." "And you taught him there are no consequences," I said. Tyler's chair scraped. He started to stand. Ms. Hart held up a hand. "Sit," she said, her voice still calm, but with steel in it. Tyler sat, but his eyes stayed hot. Erin turned her focus back to me. "If you want to end it, fine," she said. "But you don't get to take everything. The SUV is mine." "It's in my name," I said. "And you know why." Erin's smile sharpened. "Because you wanted control." "No," I said, "because you needed a co-signer." She opened her mouth, then caught herself. A tiny slip, a flash of anger, and then the mask was back. Ms. Hart slid a document across. "Daniel is willing to transfer the SUV to Erin if Erin refinances it in her name within 60 days. Until then, Daniel will maintain insurance and Erin will make payments." Erin snorted. "You think I'm going to play your little games?" Ms. Hart didn't blink. "Then you can return the vehicle today." Tyler laughed low. "This is bullshit." Erin's eyes flicked to him. "Tyler." He ignored her. He leaned toward me, voice just loud enough. "You locked my mom out," he said. "You think you're safe because you're hiding behind lawyers?" I didn't move. "I'm safe because I'm not playing." Tyler's grin came back, but wrong now. Thin, mean. "We'll see," he said. Erin shot me a look that said, "Don't make me." I realized right then the meeting wasn't for closure, it was for provocation. They wanted me to snap in a room with witnesses. Instead, I opened my folder and slid a single page across to Erin. Her eyes dropped to it. Color drained from her face. It was a printed copy of the unpaid tuition notices, addresses, dates, amounts, and beneath it, the notice about the warrant from the parking violation. "You knew," Erin whispered. I kept my voice quiet. "I didn't. Until now." Tyler's leg stopped bouncing. Erin stared at her son like she'd never seen him before. Tyler's mouth tightened. "It's nothing," he snapped. "It's a warrant," I said. "Small, fixable, unless you keep pretending it isn't real." Erin swallowed hard. Her smirk was gone. That was the first crack. The next week was ugly. Erin filed for a temporary protective order anyway. She claimed she was afraid. She claimed Tyler felt threatened. She painted me as a man with control issues who withheld resources. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, listened without expression. Then Ms. Hart played the garage clip. Tyler stepping close, me backing away, Erin giving the ultimatum, Erin laughing. The judge's face didn't change much, but her eyes did. She denied the protective order. She also told Erin, on the record, to keep her son from contacting me directly. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Erin hissed, "You ambushed me." I kept walking. Tyler followed until Ms. Hart stepped between us. "Do not," she said. Tyler's eyes burned. "You think you won," he muttered. I looked at him, finally letting him see the truth. "I think you're going to lose yourself if you don't stop." He smiled like he didn't care, but his hands were shaking. A month into the separation, Erin did what she always did when she couldn't win outright. She tried to rewrite the story again. She emailed my clients from an old shared address she still had access to, telling them the business was in transition and that Daniel may not be available due to personal issues. She didn't say I was dangerous. She didn't have to. She just implied instability. It cost me 2 jobs. That's the kind of damage that doesn't look dramatic on television, but can crush a man in real life. I didn't retaliate with yelling. I didn't show up at her work. I didn't threaten. I met with my IT guy, changed every password, shut down the old accounts, and sent a professional notice to every client. Please note, any communication regarding projects will come directly from me or my office number. If you receive other messages, please forward them. Then I forwarded Erin's emails to Ms. Hart. Within 48 hours, Erin received a cease and desist. And then something better, a message from her boss requesting a meeting about professional boundaries. Erin called me that night, furious. "You're trying to ruin my job." "I'm trying to protect mine," I said. "You're petty," she snapped. I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. "Petty is smirking while you threaten divorce over a cabinet hinge," I said. "This is consequence." She went quiet. Then she said, softer, "Tyler is spiraling." "Then help him," I replied. "You never liked him," she said. "I liked the kid he could have been," I answered. "But you kept feeding the worst part." She hung up. I sat in the dark kitchen and listened to the clock. For a long time I just sat there, hearing the refrigerator hum and the old wall clock argue with the silence. Tick, tick, tick. I wrote down every time Erin raised her voice, every time Tyler tried to bait me, and I made myself a promise. No late-night texts, no door arguments, no hero speeches, just facts, just steps, just forward. I wanted fire. I chose water instead once. On a rainy Tuesday night, Tyler came back. Not with Erin, alone. I saw him through the porch light, hood up, shoulders hunched like he was trying to make himself smaller than he'd ever been in my garage. I didn't open the door right away. I watched him on the camera feed, hands in his pockets, shifting like he was cold even though the night wasn't that bad. Then he knocked. Once. Not hard. I unlatched the door and opened it with the chain still on. Tyler's eyes were red. Not movie red. Real red, like someone had finally told him no and it had scraped something raw. "I need to talk," he said. "Talk," I replied. He swallowed. "Mom's freaking out." "Your mom is always freaking out," I said. "It's how she stays in control." Tyler flinched like I'd slapped him. "I don't have anywhere to go," he said. "She kicked me out." For a second, I felt the old instinct. Help the kid, fix the mess, be the adult. Then I remembered the trap in Miss Hart's office. The grin, the threats, the door kick. I kept my voice steady. "Why?" He looked down at his shoes, wet with rain. "Because Grant showed up." My stomach tightened. "Grant?" Tyler nodded once, miserable. "He came to her place. He had papers. He said he's taking me to court for something. I don't know. He said I've been lying. He said he's got proof." I didn't tell Tyler that I'd sent Grant that proof. Tyler looked up, eyes wild. "Did you do that?" I held his gaze. "I gave your father information he should have had years ago," I said. "I didn't lie. I didn't invent anything. I just stopped covering." Tyler's face twisted. "You ruined my life." I leaned closer to the gap in the door. "No," I said quietly. "You've been ruining it. I just stopped being your safety net." Rain pattered on the porch rail. Tyler's breath came fast. "Mom says you're trying to take everything," he said. "I'm trying to stop losing," I replied. He laughed, broken. "You think this makes you a hero?" "I don't," I said. "It makes me honest." Tyler looked past me into the house like he could see the life he'd been stomping through. "Can I?" he started. "No," I said. His jaw clenched. Anger flared quick. "So that's it," he spat. "You lock us out. You call my dad. I cut him off. "I did one thing, Tyler," I said. "I stopped reacting. That's what you can't stand." He stared at me like he wanted to hit me and couldn't find the angle. Then his shoulders sagged. "I'm scared," he said, barely audible. It wasn't a trick. I could hear it. The fear underneath the swagger. I kept the chain on, but I softened my voice. "Then go fix the warrant," I said. "Go register for class. Go get a job. Go be someone you can stand to look at in a mirror." Tyler swallowed. "And if I don't?" "Then you'll keep blaming other people," I said, "and you'll keep losing." He stood there, rain dripping off his hood, and for the first time he looked like a kid again, just a big one who'd been taught the wrong rules. His eyes dropped to my hands. "You're not even shaking," he said. "I already shook," I replied. "For years. I'm done." Tyler backed away from the door like it was heat. "Mom said you'd cave," he muttered. I let out a breath. "Tell her," I said, "that the smirk was the last apology she ever got out of me." He turned, walked off the porch, and disappeared into the rain. I closed the door, locked it. Stood there a long moment, listening to the house settle. Then my phone buzzed with a message from Ms. Hart. "Settlement, offer received. Favorable. Call me." I stared at the screen until the letters stopped swimming. 3 days, I thought. All it took was 3 days to stop being their target. Erin came to Ms. Hart's office alone this time. No blazer, no smirk. Her eyes looked tired in a way makeup couldn't hide. She sat across from me at the conference table and didn't speak for a full minute. When she finally did, her voice was small. "Tyler is moving in with Grant," she said. I nodded once. "Okay." She flinched at the word like it hurt now. Ms. Hart slid the settlement papers across. Erin's hands hovered over them like they were hot. "This is unfair," Erin said, but it sounded like she was saying it to herself, not to me. "You wanted a divorce over an apology," I replied. "Now you have one." Her eyes filled, but no tears fell. She blinked hard. "I thought you'd fold," she whispered. "I know," I said. She looked up. "Why didn't you?" I leaned back and kept my voice flat. Because if I let it shake, I'd slide backward into the old version of me. "Because I heard the way you said it," I answered. "Like I was a tool you could threaten into shape. Like my dignity was something you could trade for peace." Erin swallowed. "I was protecting my son." "No," I said. "You were protecting your control." The clock ticked loud in the room. Erin picked up the pen. Her hand shook as she signed. When she finished, she slid the papers back like she was pushing away a plate she couldn't stomach. Ms. Hart gathered them, efficient. "We'll file," she said. Erin stood. For a second, she looked like she might say something human. Then she lifted her chin, a ghost of the old mask returning. "You're going to be alone," she said. "You'll regret this." I met her eyes. "I was alone while you were standing right next to me," I said. "This is just the first time it matches." Erin's mouth tightened. She turned and walked out. No dramatic slam, no shouting, just footsteps fading down a hallway. Back at the house, the rain had stopped. The porch boards were dark and clean, like the storm had scrubbed them. I sat at the kitchen table with the settlement copy in front of me. My hands were finally steady enough to notice how quiet everything was. The phone buzzed again. This time a text from Grant. "Tyler admitted he'd been using Erin's account to email your clients. He confessed in writing. Thanks for the heads up. He's with me. We'll handle it." I read it twice. Then I opened the last voicemail Erin had left, the one where she'd promised to make sure everyone knew what kind of man I was. I didn't play it to anyone. I didn't blast it online. I didn't need a stage. I just saved it, the same way you save a receipt. Proof that the story she told about me wasn't the story I lived. Outside, a car passed, tires hissing on wet asphalt. The house creaked once, settling. I took a breath and let it out slow. The revenge wasn't a fist. It wasn't a screaming match. It wasn't a ruined body or a ruined life. It was the simple, brutal act of refusing to be rewritten. I looked at the empty chair across from me, the spot where Erin had smirked and thought she'd won. Then I folded the papers, slid them into my folder, and turned off the light.